Stampede Bowl #1. Can't wait for this matchup between two early impressive teams in the CFL West Division. Welcome around the bonfire and inside GameDay Winnipeg. Darrin Bauming, the legend, Chris Walby to my left on the right side of your screen. Bluto, how you feeling? Bombers are 3-0. And now they're going to bookend a bye week with a trip to Calgary and a home date against Vernon Adams Jr. and the Calgary Stampeders. First annual Stampede Bowl. Everyone's seeing the logo on the screen. How are you? And what's your take on the Stampede Bowl, the first one we're going to see?
I think it's a great idea to try and create a little bit of a rivalry between another team. I mean, obviously we have the one with Saskatchewan, the Banjo Bowl. Now Calgary is having a Stampede Bowl. And yeah, on a personal level, doing very well. I just came back for Lake Fergus show. I got my grandkids out there, and they just sent me a picture on my boat. So it's kind of making me a little sad. But hey, we're here to talk football for a little bit of time, and then I'll head back out.
Love it. I told you last time I was going to get a haircut. I decided to get a haircut. Decided to not comb my hair for you. But you're wearing your Nick Dembski Oak Park Raiders hat. I like to see that.
You know what? I pulled it out there for Nick Dembski, and I also for the guy we just lost in a heart, old Stu Nixon, the former head coach who suddenly passed. So that's a little bit of an honor to him as well. But yeah, my kid went to school in Oak Park, so there's a number of myriad of reasons to wear it.
I like it. I'm glad you mentioned Coach Stu Nixon, very beloved and impactful individual in the football community and in Winnipeg community as well. Jake Slobodian, great to see everybody in the live chat mentioning Brady Oliveira went to Oak Park as well. Hey, Andrew Harris, many CFL players coming out of that hotbed. The Oak Park Raiders hat on Walby today. Okay, so lots to get to on the show, Chris. The Bombers are 3-0. The Stampeders are 2-1. They're coming off a crummy weather game at McMahon where Dustin Crum and the Ottawa Redblacks eked out a win and an upset victory as well. Not that Dustin Crum did much to win that game. He did enough. He was clean. Uniform wasn't clean, very crummy weather game. But however, the Stampeders and the Bombers, I would say right now, it's not that I say, it's true. You look at the numbers, they have the #1 and the #2 defense in the CFL with yards against and points allowed. Stamps have only allowed 4 defensive touchdowns this season. The Blue Bombers get Brady Oliveira back. We'll take a look at the depth chart in a second, but how important is it going to be for Winnipeg to put up points and more notably put up 6s instead of 3s on the road?
Well, I mean, I'm still happy that we're getting something. And obviously Sergio is 7 of 8, long of 55. We know what he can do. History tells us that he's super accurate and he's got a powerful leg. But yeah, you're in Calgary and it's always tough to win in Calgary. It's a beautiful field. I know they're talking about doing something else. The stadium, I guess the actual stadium is kind of falling apart, but the field, they just had new turf on a while back, and it's really nice to play on. I think it's going to be a great game. Like you said, 2 good teams. The West is crazy this year. You look at Saskatchewan, you're looking at this. I'm a little surprised about BC. They're kind of hitting the tank right now. But you can never take anything away from one thing, and that is that Vernon Adams Jr. is a gamer. Mm-hmm. He is a guy that can extend plays, much like a Trey Ford, but I think he's a little bit more dangerous. I think his decision-making is very good. But this is what? The 4th game? And guess what? Hasn't thrown a touchdown pass. I've never seen that before when a team comes in and that one receiver's got a pass. The quarterback hasn't thrown a touchdown pass. Ah, man. But they're going to break out sometime. We just hope it doesn't break out tomorrow. And I want to apologize first. God dang it. I was eating a granola bar, and I cracked my freaking tooth.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah.
I thought your voice was off a touch.
Yes. So I have to wait till I come back next week, go see the dentist, see if I get that fixed. But
attaboy.
Yeah. But anyway,
you know what they say, right? There's hurt and there's injured, and you're just hurt. You're going to play through.
Yeah. Oh, I'll play through it, man. Yeah, except my tongue would stop going there all the time. I'd be all right, man.
Of course. Well, hey, maybe better there than other places. Episode. You mentioned you mentioned the Stampeders offense potentially breaking out. They are number 1 in the CFL in net offense, 388.7 yards per game. And that's saying nothing about what we saw from Zach Collaros in his second game of the season. He was a CFL top performer this past week. Had a great performance, both throwing the ball and rushing for one as well, 13 yards on the ground. But then you add Brady Oliveira to that as we pull up the Winnipeg Blue Bombers depth chart for this game. It's the first time this season they're going to dress all 24 of their projected number 1 starters, because we saw Brady Oliveira in week 1, in the first game of the season. But there was no Zach Collaros in that game as Chris Streveler got the start, and Collaros had the 1-game suspension. So now Collaros is back, Oliveira back after missing a couple games with a shoulder injury. This offense is intact. I like Stearns and what he's brought via free agency. We know Dalton Schoen, 4 second down conversions last week. Insane. And Carrick Weedfall, Chris, like this dude has made everybody forget about Ontario Wilson and maybe even Kenny Lawler.
Well, I mean, it's nice to put him in that category, but he is definitely having a breakout year. Currently leads 275 yards receiving, a couple touchdowns.
Nice player.
I think he's done a great job of stretching the football field. But anytime your offensive line can give that quarterback, I thought Zach was masterful last. He was the head chef, and he was cooking up a cake. He was cooking something up good last week because 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. And I thought he did an amazing job scampering for that 13-yard run. He broke a couple of tackles. He said he felt like a 25-year-old guy again. But
looking like it.
Now you got Oliveira back, who had 49 yards rushing in 2 carries before suffering that upper body injury. So, it'll be interesting to see how they come out tomorrow.
Why you call it an upper body injury? We know it's a shoulder. It's on the injury report.
I don't read the injury part. I don't know if anything's there. Old Mike O'Shea will never tell you anyway.
Yeah. No, that's true. My old pal Derek McGorn saying big hair DB. Yeah, maybe I'll put on my Sea Bears hat. What do you think of that?
Well, they're nice hats. They are nice. Oh, yeah.
Real nice stuff. Here, I got another one. Hey, here's the OG.
Oh, look at that. See, you got all your hats. Well, you need a hat.
Yeah. Well, you got your Coach Stu hat on, and of course, Bonfire Hat's available. BonfireSports.ca/hat, and you can get those through our good friends at 𝘎𝙤𝙤𝙧𝙨. Winnipeg's offense, Chris, I think they go as Zach Collaros goes, and we'll see what Brady Oliveira has to offer. Really, he only had 2 touches in his season debut before that injury. I have no doubt that he is truly 100%. I don't think you would rush him back at this point of the season, especially with the way Matthew Peterson played. So
I agree.
Yeah.
I think that Brady brings you a different animal, though. The thing that I like about Brady is not only the ability to run the football, I think he's such a dangerous weapon at receiving the ball. I had over 400 and some or 500 yards receiving last year. He was very close to going over 2,000 total yards combined, running and catching. I think he was number 1 in the Bombers for yards after catch, which is an incredible stat. He breaks tackles. We saw what he did against Edmonton last year when he pulled off that run, when he broke about 4 or 5 tackles and got to the end zone. Awesome. It's just basically that's a highlight film. But I think that I like what he does out the receiver. I think Michael Peterson is going to be he's going to be a good football player, no doubt.
Oh, yeah.
But he's not a Brady. He's not a Brady. Sorry, not yet. Like,
no, and there's a difference between bully ball and what Brady brings as far as physicality and what Matthew Peterson brings as far as a little bit more explosion and the potential for a home run hit, right? He had many huge runs in university. Of course, this is pro football. It's different, but we saw him break off a run at home in Winnipeg's last home game where I don't think Brady Oliveira has a career run of 43, 45 yards. He's never had a 50-yard run. I think he had a 50-yard reception, but not a run.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'll take, now number 20 is my guy right now. So,
Yeah.
and that's not taking anything away from number 22, Peterson, because I think that he will be a very good football player. He's making his most of the opportunity he's being given. And he's, he's hitting home runs right now. The Bombers really didn't miss much, allowing Brady to sit. But Brady is not the kind of guy that wants to sit either.
No,
he's chomping at the bit to get back in the field to show, hey, don't forget about me, man. He looks up in the stands and he got all them Oliveira jerseys. You want to make sure your fans are happy. And I love the fact that when they play in Calgary, it's going to be a big thing. I guess the only thing that I was hoping, from a purely selfish view, DB, I was hoping that Adam Biggie might be playing. But he's still rehabbing that injury in his leg. So they're going to go with a guy named Kyle Wilson, who's a heck of a football player and just got released and signed with the next day by Hamilton Tire Cats.
Yeah.
And Calgary jumped all over him. He's played 2 years with him. He's, he's got a lot of tackles. He's a guy that can make plays sideline to sideline. So they're not forced to play Biggie or Adam. But they didn't sign Adam just to have him rehab his knee.
No.
They want to see what he can bring him. He's got that leadership. He's a Hall of Famer. So I think it's a great move. And Adam wants to go out on his own terms. He doesn't want to be the last year somebody decided he's done. He wants to say, okay, I'm officially done.
Yeah, everybody wants to go out on their own terms. There was a lot of conversation this week about Adam Bighill and drawing those comparisons to Mike O'Shea. As we look at the Calgary Stampeders depth chart, there is their injured list. Canadian running back Jeshurun Antwi played last week, is not good to go after missing all of this past week. Cedric Wilcots, the former Blue Bombers defensive lineman, they traded to Calgary a couple years ago. We know that Reggie Begelton's on the 6 game, as to offensive lineman Bryce Bell. But conversation this week, Chris, about Adam Bighill, and I think those natural comparisons to Mike O'Shea. Both, I have no doubt Adam Bighill is going to be in the Canadian Football Hall of Fame along with you and along with O'Shea as players. But Mike O'Shea, to his own admission, kind of alludes to the fact that, he maybe played 1 year too long and was not, frankly, he was a shadow of himself in that final.
You know what? The hardest decision for any coach, and it's because it's a business and you get attached to players on a personal level. Mm-hmm. And when it's time, it's the hardest thing to do. Wally Buono, all these guys. I mean, I remember they cut Willie Plus. Everybody's going, what? But Wally Buono said, hey, you know what?
That'd be tough.
I've got a guy coming up who's going to fill that spot. He's younger and he's got a little bit more speed. Yes, we love what Willie did, but it's time to move on. That's the hardest thing. It's heart-wrenching. Mm-hmm. You don't think it bothered O'Shea to let go of Adam? I'm sure it bothered the hell out of him and Kyle Walters. But that's the real part of it. It's the business part of it, which can sometimes be ugly. It can be bloody ugly. Yep. And I'm glad that he's getting an opportunity. Now, you're right. There's some naysayers saying he's played too long. He's just going to get hurt again right away. He should stay. He's a financial advisor now. He should stay there and do that.
The Blue Bombers have given him an outstanding opportunity on the field, MODP, Grey Cup champion ×2, and a chance to expand his career, right, with a job with Wellington Altus. The chairman of the Blue Bombers board, Dana Spiring, her husband, is the head, or I think the founder of Wellington Altus Financial Management, right? And Adam Bighill, straight out of his certification as a financial advisor, got a job at an outstanding firm. I don't think there's any, I don't think there's any animosity between Bighill and the Blue Bombers. I know Paul Friesen of the Winnipeg Sun wrote about, him not getting a phone call. You know what they say, Chris? There's two sides to every story, and then the truth kind of lies in the middle. I'm not saying anybody here is not telling the truth, but everybody has their side of the story, and you kind of have to, parse between it.
I'll jump in with you one thing when you're talking about Charlie Spiring and stuff. Mm-hmm. He's part of a firm with Peter and Milos Pejovic. They're the two guys that are running now. And the reason I think that he could go to Calgary is because Peter works out of Calgary. They have an office in Calgary, so he can actually go there, work on rehabbing, get back to playing the game he loves, and still be involved with his next career.
That's what it's all about, right?
That's why I think if it wasn't Calgary, I don't think he'd be going anywhere. I think it'd be no. I think Calgary gave him a perfect opportunity, a perfect time, and a perfect place.
Well, and I think the Stampeders, too, are looking for just a little bit of veteran presence, right? You know, you look at, I'll pull up their depth chart again here. You look at who they have in their room, right? Who are the guys that have been in the league a long, long time, right? You got Flo Ormalade, okay? You got like Micah Tights is a Canadian. He's been in the league for a handful of years, but like very young defense.
He played with Saskatchewan before.
He did, yeah. But a very young defense overall.
You got Derek Moncrief, my friend.
What's that?
Maybe part of your. Hey, you know you're black. You went out, eh?
What do you mean I went out?
You went quiet for a little bit there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, because you mentioned that. I was looking. I'm like, I don't think I was muted. Anyway, they have a relatively young defense, right? And to bring in someone like Adam Bighill, if there's anybody you want, the players on your team to emulate, the work ethic, the professionalism, it's Adam Bighill. I think that's a great thing. But it's not the Stampeders defense that I've been most impressed with. Okay. And I understand they've allowed 4 offensive touchdowns this season. That leads the league. They haven't had a bye week yet. 4 touchdowns through, or pardon me, they have had a bye. They're coming off a bye. My mistake. But 4 touchdowns in 3 games is pretty dang impressive. But it's Winnipeg's defense that I think has been playing absolutely lights out. They are so good in the red zone. They are opportunistic. They are, they just seem to play with a chip on their shoulder, right? And they don't play mad. They play very controlled. They're a disciplined defense. But Chris, like Jordan Younger, year 1 was really good as him as the DC. Year 2, it's even better. I'm blown away by Winnipeg's defense. It's so good.
Well, it's funny. I look at some of those stuff and I look at what they're doing. I look at the Bomber defense. I think they're doing extremely well, as you say. They're secondary. Now, I know some people are saying, I see people on the street and they go, I don't know, man. Bomber's getting lucky. You see that roughing the passer, man? That was a crappy call. Mm-hmm. And I said, you know what? I'm one of the old school guys. So you're talking, you're preaching to the guy here. I mean, I understand you got to protect your marquee players, but that was such a light hit. But they say that as long as you touch the helmet, it's going to be called.
Every time.
And I don't like that. I think it should be a judgment on how he was hit. If he was smacked in the helmet, if his hand just brushed his helmet, come on, man.
That's how it has always been. And it was,
right off because
it was 3 years ago. They changed that, right? Because they
No, it's not. Guys, quarterbacks used to get schmucked.
No, for sure. They changed that rule like 3 years ago.
They got new helmets now. They wear these upside down.
Yeah.
Sorry. I don't like some of the calls. Now, when people tell me the Bombers getting lucky, well, no. The guy fumbles the ball, Jamal Parker picks it up, runs for a touchdown, deflected off somebody. He gets an interception, Marquis Bridges. They find opportune times to change the flow of the game. And that is a sign of not only being lucky, because you got to be lucky to be good, and you got to be good to be lucky.
Yep.
And I think the Bombers are playing very well. And I will say, and I will echo you, DB, I think Jordan Younger does so many different things with his personnel that it causes the quarterbacks or the offense they're playing some confusion. They hesitate to hold the ball. And as a result, they may make a misread, or a receiver doesn't read a hot coming. And they just create turnovers again. And Winnipeg has always been a team at the top or very near the top of a team that turns over the football.
Yeah. Loose change, right? We saw Jamal Parker do that in BC, right? Where a ball, like normally you just kind of expect the whistle to be blown. No, scoops it up and no whistle. Away he goes. Loose change is what they call it in practice. If there's a loose ball there, pick it up. It's free, right? Why not? I like that.
I don't mind it.
Yeah. I was just going to pull up some highlights from their Week 4 win against the BC Lions. or pardon me, week 4 win against
Whoa,
the Edmonton Elks. Well, hey, I'm just seeing here that I mislabeled my my highlight folder here. I got versus BC, at BC, and then versus BC. That's not right. It was a win over the Edmonton Elks.
Yes, sir.
Now, Winnipeg is playing the other Alberta team. This note is what really stood out to me, Chris, from the CFL. Mike O'Shea, 13-12 as a head coach all time against the Calgary Stampeders. And that's been John Huffnagel as head coach and then Dave Dickinson as head coach. You know, the man that essentially coined the term Canadian Mafia, right?
Right.
9 of those games where Winnipeg is 13-12 all time have been decided by 2 points or less. You can talk about BC, you can talk about Hamilton, you can talk about Montreal. There is no team in the regular season that the Blue Bombers are bigger rivals with. Of course, you can talk about the Saskatchewan Roughriders, but it is always hard-nosed football. It is always so razor close every time these two teams play for whatever reason. I'm looking forward to this Vernon Adams Jr. chapter of the Stampeders against Winnipeg in this hard-fought battle.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm a big Vernon Adams. I'm a real fan of him. I love the way he plays. He has such a zip. He's got a really kind of a funny arm throw. Throws a lot of times it looks like it's sidearm, but he gets the ball where it needs to go. And that's why I said I'm a little bit shocked that through the first 3 games he has not tossed a touchdown pass. Now, did he play in the first game? I'm not sure if he played the first game. I don't know, but he probably
Vernon
did.
Adams Jr.?
Yeah. Played all 3? I guess so,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
I mean, he's got 800 yards passing already. So, I mean, he's moving the ball, but for some reason they just can't. They're 6 of 10 in the red zone. That'll tell you right now. They're not taking advantage of setting for field goals. Where the Bombers are 6 of 7 in the red zones. And that's what you want to see. You want touchdowns rather than 3. And that's the difference between these two teams right now. You mentioned Calgary's only blemish. Just a crappy game against the Ottawa Red Blacks, but I give Dustin Crum, he didn't do anything to hurt his team. The quarterback did a nice job getting rid of the ball. He scampered when he had to, but just miserable conditions to play in. But you know what? That's how it happens. You know, you got to be the team that ekes it out at the end. They did. Now, Calgary's coming off a bye. Calgary's also watched a lot of game film on the Bombers. Woohoo! It's going to be good. There's Willie's 75th sack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's going down in history as one of the greatest to ever play defensive end, Chris. 75 sacks, 75 knockdowns. I don't know. Nobody's ever done that before. It's insane. As an offensive lineman, tell everybody out there joining us live on YouTube, and welcome everybody who joined us in the raid from Winnipeg Sports Talk. This is GameDay Winnipeg, as we always do the day before the game. The legendary Chris Walby and myself, Darrin Bauming, here on Bonfire Sports. In your 16 years playing, Chris, in your Hall of Fame career as a tackle, how demoralizing is it for an offense when you got a knockdown at the line of scrimmage? I've had some people tell me it's almost better than a sack.
Well, I'd say, you can't do nothing about it, right? I mean, you could be blocking a guy in the line of scrimmage, and he puts those 6, 7 arms up and knocks the ball down. I don't get mad. I say, okay, I used to play a little different. If they started going up like that too much, I'd chop their legs.
You can't do that anymore.
There's so many things you can't do, and that's what I'm talking about. We're going to board pillows out there now, But I'm sorry. Well, we used to do that because we used to have a thing called 70 protection, where it's basically set up, and cut. And basically that would get the defensive lineman or whoever's coming on the blitz, it would get their hands down. Well, now we can't cut anybody unless they get outside the tackle zone, which is really tough because nobody gets outside there anymore. But I don't know. I think that don't get me started on that rant.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I will let people get started on Willie Jefferson, who almost got home here. And then on the back end, it was Marquise Bridges, who is a first-year starter, second-year Blue Bomber. And we talked about this on Game Day After Dark, our live postgame show, that no, Bridges didn't turn and look at the football, but he read the eyes of the receiver and made a play on the ball, got his hand in there. I thought Evan Holm, or I think Evan Holm and Dietrich Nichols and Marquise Bridges and Terrell Bonds are all doing outstanding work getting their hands in on passes. And then Jamal Parker, I mean, what can't this guy do? Making tackles at the line of scrimmage, scoops and scores, forcing fumbles, read a Kramdi's punch. Like Winnipeg's defense,
that was good, yes.
You know, the front is great. Like what Tony Jones brings at middle linebacker, what Willie and James Vaughters bring, and those guys on the inside, that's great. But it's like, it's Kramdi, it's Nichols, it's Holm, it's Parker. Those guys on the back end of the Bombers defense are why they are as good as they are.
Well, they're taught. They do drills. The drill is to punch the ball out, rip the ball out. You see it all the time. As long as somebody's got control or, can tackle a guy, because they'll say the one thing that goes against that is if you're so concerned about punching the ball out and you don't make the tackle and you don't get the ball and he goes for a touchdown, then the coach will say play it safe. But when you got guys converging, the Bombers, that's the other thing is you get credit. The Bombers defense, they're converging on it like a bunch of fat guys on a cheeseburger. They are all over the guy. I mean, they're all everywhere. So, man, and they're taught to rip the ball out. And you said that. Reddy Kramdi had a great job punching that ball out.
Here's a highlight from last week's win. This ended up being negated by accidental pass interference, and we'll get a better look at it in a second. Chris, this is a rule that was implemented in the CFL just a handful of years ago. I think this is the third season now. But no longer is this a regular pass interference where it's automatic first down from the spot of the foul. This is now a 10-yard penalty. And Holm, I mean, got his first interception in 2 years in BC, gets a chance for his second in 3 games, and it ends up getting negated by penalty. But, I mean, hey, guys' legs get tangled up sometimes. It's the way it goes.
Yeah, and that's why it should be called. There shouldn't be anything. It should be any call. See, to me, he's way down there. Okay, he trips. And that's the receiver tripping. Mm-hmm. That should not be on Evan Holm. Unless he's pushed. Yep. Now, that's what they're saying, the hands on the back, right?
So when this happened, Mike O'Shea, the TSN showed the video of Mike O'Shea. Actually, here it is. He's about ready to pull the challenge flag out. You see Marty Costello, the offensive line coach, at the top left of the screen. He's pointing up at the Jumbotron in the replay. There's Mike Miller, second-year special teams coordinator for Winnipeg, Hall of Fame player, no doubt soon enough. But Evan Holm came to the sideline and said, I didn't touch him, but we're also not going to win that review. So there's the gray area between maybe there was no penalty on the play, but you also know that the CFL, not command center, what do they call it now? It's the replay center. The replay center is not going to overturn this penalty as called on the field, so you leave it as it is. O'Shea's been pretty good with discipline with the flag, right?
It's only a 10-yard penalty too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it doesn't move down the point of contact. So, I think that's a smart move. I think that's great communication from the player to the coach. It's usually a DB usually will fight it and say, I didn't touch him, I didn't do anything. But you see it all the time. Hand fighting. How much hand fighting are you allowed? I think DBs in retrospect have the toughest jobs. Oh, yeah. When you got to get slot back on offense, running at you full speed, and you can't have any contact less than inside 5 yards. You try and shuck him, and you miss him, he's gone. So guys are almost scared to hit him and make contact. You just turn and run with him.
I would love to get your perspective, Chris, on this play from last week, because a lot of people say, oh man, the Bombers absolutely blew this coverage. 68-yard catch and run, nothing but daylight for Keon Julian Grant. 44 yards after the catch, 3-play 80-yard drive to capped by that 68-yard touchdown for Edmonton. We'll get a good look at the replay here. I've got the wide angle shot here that we can take a look at. This was miscommunication that essentially a very good route tree by the Elks offense and offensive coordinator Jordan Maksimic, getting a double clear out on these crossing routes, and right there, right where they stop it, TSN and of course Glenn Suter pulling it up there. There's your three guys. You got safety Jamal Parker, number 1. You got this is Terrell Bonds at 3. This is Holm, number 2. And they let Keon Julian Grant slip through. Easy touchdown. All they did was switch. They should have switched off. So when you saw them crossing route, that one DB that was coming in just slid back out. They got both focused on that one coming across the middle. So you basically got 3-on-2 there, but nobody to the outside. And you're not usually going to win many battles like that. The reality is mistakes like that happen. Winnipeg's defense has been very good, but even, those things still happen, right? Is there concern? Because I know a lot of fans are like, man, they let this big play and suddenly are they as good as everybody says they are? It's a good job by the Edmonton Elks. Run a play that forces the DBs to make a decision. If they make the wrong one, you can exploit them for a big play. And I remember when, we talked to Richie Hall. He said the biggest thing that hurts us are explosion plays. Mm-hmm. And we don't that's what we have to cut down. And you know what? Good teams are going to find a way to get a play on you. But good teams will still find a way to win the football game. Yeah. And the Bombers are doing that right now. They're playing very, very good football. Remember this? They started 0-4 last year. Mm-hmm. And, people were calling for the heads to roll again, Collaros is done and this and that. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, yes. And I think Collaros looks better now than I saw for a couple of years. That last game, he was pinpoint on, just on. And then when he did get some pressure, he does a nice couple of side jukes, takes it 13 for a touchdown. What is he? I looked at last week. He was like, what was this? He was 83.3%. Yeah, crazy. Passing. Yeah, top performer of the week at the quarterback position. And watch this. This is kind of a funny moment. He throws the ball up in the air. Did you notice this, Chris? When he throws the ball up in the air in celebration, it comes down. Watch closely. Hits him in the helmet, and 𝘽𝙤𝙤𝙧𝙚 catches it. I thought that was hilarious. Threw it up so vertical, it hits himself in the head. 𝘽𝙤𝙤𝙧𝙚 catches it. Collaros is like, give me that. Takes the ball, pushes his teammate off, hucks it into the crowd. After the game, they reminded Zach Collaros, that's a $500 fine for throwing the football. They got the football back into the crowd. They did get the football back. But he forgot that's a $500 fine. Okay, first off, here's what the club should do. There are microchip balls in the game to that's why it's $500 evaluation. Yeah. But whoever caught it, you know what? Here's our ball. Come on down to the stadium. We'll get you another ball. Switch it around. Give the kid or whoever caught it a ball. Yeah. Yep. Or very least get him a Walby burger, for God's sakes. You know what I mean? Yeah. Give him something. You see Schnitzy and his buddy from over the pond in England. They were at the game last week. They crushed the Walby burger. I didn't know it was still going there. Jesus. Oh yeah. Like what is it? 4 patties, 8 slices of cheese, 5 chicken fingers, 4 hot dogs. Insane. 6 of everything. 6 of everything. Yeah, but that's okay. I just made that just to throw it in there. But yeah, again, I would like to if Wade's watching or Kyle or Walters or any of those guys watching. They're watching. Tell you what, brother, reward the fans because the fans are what pays the bills. Mm-hmm. And I think it's so cool that if a guy gets it and gives his little son or a little daughter, and the Bombers come up and say, "Sorry, you can't because the ball is chipped." You know what? But come down to the clubhouse, come to the Bomber store. How about that? We'll give you $50. Buy whatever you want in there. You know what I mean? Yep. No doubt. I like that players will celebrate by throwing the ball into the stands. It's like the old Hardrick hop. Dembski would hop in there, that sort of thing. Yeah, there you go. Give the family a Walby burger. They'll all eat for a week. Yeah.
I've never had one, so one day I'll find out. But that's been a long-going conversation. So
Still haven't had one.
They'll probably figure I don't need it, so that's okay.
Yeah. Well, I know where there's good barbecue. There was a big barbecue event at Princess Auto Stadium just a few days ago. You can check out the Blue Bombers social medias channels for that. But where there is going to be great barbecue is in Cow Country and in Cowtown. It's the first annual Stampede Bowl. You see the logo on your screen. That, of course, is you see the CS on the horse's forehead there. That's the Calgary Stampede logo, the C and then the sidewards S. Have you seen the trophy, Chris? No. They're essentially emulating what the Blue Bombers have done with the Banjo Bowl, and big nod to the late great Jerry Maslowski, the former head of marketing for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers back in the day. He is the man who created the Banjo Bowl. Our good friend Troy Westwood named the game. There's the trophy of the Stampede Bowl, but it was Jerry Maslowski who said, hey, we've got the Labor Day Classic. We come back to Winnipeg the next week. Let's do the Banjo Bowl for the banjo plucking inbreds comment, and it became a beautiful thing. Now they're doing the Stampede Bowl to you feel like they're kind of riding Winnipeg's coattails. What's going on, Pat?
Well, I think it's smart. Well, that's smart. Listen, anytime you can get the fans involved and try and create a rivalry and remember, it's a West versus West, where every game is important for the standings. This is a big game. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, Dickinson is saying to his team, you know what? Let's be 3-1. We'll make the Bombers 3-1. Pulls us right up there with a victory. Mm-hmm. So this is why it's going to be cool to watch. I was really, like I said, when I watched the Edmonton game, mm-hmm. I was impressed with some of the things that Edmonton did.
They're coming around. I'll say, I think
they're getting better every week.
They're getting better every week. That said, their defense, and it's not just because Collaros diced them up for 300 and whatever yards and was 84%. All season long, their defense has been garbage. They're bad. They're bad.
Well, I said this too. Their defensive coordinator, a former linebacker for them, J.C. Sherritt, doesn't have the experience.
First year DC.
And you got to have somebody that's been there for a while that knows how to run different schemes. I don't feel like they get any pressure. They had one sack again, Jake Ceresna.
His first of the year.
Yep. Ooh. And that was not a pretty one for old my friend Stanley Bryant. Mm-hmm. You got bull rush there a little bit, but it happens to the best of us. So, I agree with you on that.
I really want to. So here's your CFL standings. In the East, still the Montreal Alouettes leading the way. I would say early CFL MOP frontrunner Davis Alexander, still injured, hamstring pull, unlikely to play this week. It was McLeod Bethel Thompson starting for them in their first loss of the season last week. The Ticats, I think, are probably a team that's going to get better. Toronto, they're in a bit of a tire fire. Ottawa, looks like Drew Brown, former Bombers quarterback, is healthy and ready to return after an oblique injury. The same injury that Nathan Rourke has suffered, which has the BC Lions at 1-3. But Calgary, coming off the bye and their first loss in a crummy weather game against the Ottawa Red Blacks and their backup Dustin Crum last week. Calgary is probably going to be, well, they're definitely going to be rested. They're probably going to be pretty fired up, Chris, playing against Winnipeg, a team that, as I mentioned earlier, is Winnipeg is 13-12 under Mike O'Shea all time against the Stamps.
It's always a tough game. I love division rivalries. I love the fact they're trying to put something special, a stamp on it, as you say, with the Stampede Bowl. And I think, if they can get a good crowd there, and I'm hoping that, they get a good turnout of fans, that it turn into a classic game. Nothing like playing for a team when the fans aren't coming out. So you need to have, a good crowd. Here's Jake right there doing his somersault celebration of sack.
You want to break this play down as Stanley Bryant has a rare bust at left tackle with Jake Ceresna. Like, look, Ceresna, he's NFL caliber talent. I mean, there's a ton of guys that are NFL caliber talent in the CFL, but like he's been there.
He got him high.
And he's done
high. He just got high and he bull rushed him to the inside, and Stanley couldn't get back on his feet. because as he's trying to turn, 𝘎𝙤𝙛 is still bull rushing, and so he just ends up pushing Brian. So, watch him come back inside. There's no way Stanley's lucky that he didn't hurt Zach's leg because he fell right into Zach. That's where a lot of serious injuries happen, in those pileups that you can't see coming your way.
Yeah. And you know what? I've told people, we talked about it on the post game when we played these highlights. We always get into the highlights just moments after the game. We go live and you're going to see highlights of the highlights, the lowlights, and everything in between of the Blue Bombers game. And we'll do that tomorrow as well. 𝘎𝙤𝙤𝙧𝙯 will join me. Game Day After Dark here on Bonfire Sports. Easy to find it. BonfireSports.ca/live. That takes you right to our YouTube channel. You can find all our socials at BonfireWPG. But I talked about it on the postgame, Chris, that good players are going to get beat by other good players. And even a future Hall of Famer like Stanley Bryan, who is still, no doubt, playing at an extremely high level, they get beat. And Jeff Hamilton of the Winnipeg Free Press was in the Blue Bombers locker room after the game. He jumped into the live chat on our postgame show and said all of Stan's teammates were giving it to him after the game, having fun, of course. For Jake 𝘎𝙤𝙛, one of the best DNs in the league, cooking him on it.
Yeah, that's always fun. You never want to watch the film the next day either.
No. Well, that didn't happen to you too often, did it?
Oh, it happens to everybody. I mean, there's plays that we can all go back and think about, and we go, my God. And I remember saying, please, just get past it. But the good thing about that is, I don't know what quarter that was in. That was the fourth quarter, I think.
Third quarter. Yeah, late in the third. Okay. Really close to the fourth quarter,
As an old lineman, the worst thing that can happen is get beat early in a game, because that guy gets confidence, and then you start saying, "Oh shit! Did I put my left step out too quick? Did I get it stay too high, or what?" So you start questioning. When you're confident and you're cocky, you just can't get beat.
𝘎𝙤𝙛 had a great game against Winnipeg. It wasn't just the sack, Chris. He had a tackle for loss, 6-yard loss on Nick Dembski. We'll get a look at the replay here in a second. So often you and I talk about guys putting up sacks and the sack number being the big sexy stat that everybody looks at. And often people will say that's the metric of how good your defensive front is. But you always say, rightfully so, what are you doing on every other play? Well, Jake 𝘎𝙤𝙛 had his first sack of the season, but he also penetrated into the backfield there unblocked to take down Nick Dembski on one of those patented Blue Bombers jet sweeps to the slot back. That's just good football, and 𝘎𝙤𝙛 returning to Edmonton in free agency this year, big addition.
It's good football, but it's a total breakdown. The fullback or somebody's supposed to chip him back in. Nobody blocks him.
I see it now.
Nobody blocks him.
Michael Chris Ike is lined up at tight end behind Stanley Bryant right there.
Somebody's supposed to, so Stanley's pulling.
Yep.
And he just doesn't go to the right guy.
So 25 is the fullback. There he is, leaves 𝘎𝙤𝙛, tackle happens, and, there's 25 on the right side of your screen waiting for his block. Well, too late. Dembski caught in his tracks there.
Yep. That happens.
Yeah, well, the mistakes have been very few and far between. Winnipeg rolling 3-0 to start the season. Collaros, Oliveira will both play together for the first time this season. And they're in kind of, rivalry territory at the first annual Stampede Bowl in Calgary. Chris, your keys to the game to see what Winnipeg will need to do to move to 4-0. And, well, believe it or not, that would put them tied with Saskatchewan for first place in the West.
Wow, yeah, Saskatchewan's playing well right now. Holy mackerel. With all the injuries they're having, and they're still coming up. I think, seriously, it's welcome back, Brady, Bully, Barl, whatever you want to call it. Bravo, Brody. I think he's, he does a great job. Sometimes, like I mentioned earlier in this broadcast, we don't often give him back credit for a couple other things he does. And not only does he run hard, he blocks extremely well. And he catches a ball as good as anyone out of the backfield. So I think that's all adds up to providing good protection for Zach Collaros. On defense, I think you just got to keep doing what Jordan Younger's doing. He is mixing up that defense coverage scheme, the blitz screen. He is just, his whole game plan is to cause confusion and make quarterbacks hold the ball They don't know where they're going. They make mistakes. And the Bombers' defense is opportunistic. And on defense, I'm going to give another coach credit now. Mike Miller, the GOAT, they call him, greatest of all time special teams. Man, he's got this team. They're not taking any penalties. Their cover game is number one. Mm-hmm. This Trey Valvu what's his name? Troy Vavel.
So this is how I remember it, Chris.
Wow.
He is a dirt bike racer. Trey Vavel rhymes with gravel.
Oh, I don't give a...
Well, he's got the checkered flag tattoo on his neck. Big dirt biking guy. Came to Bombers camp, actually. Get this, and sorry to interrupt your keys. But he came to Bombers camp with an injured wrist from riding motocross, right? Smacked it into some gravel. How do you say his name? Trey Vavel.
You stay up at night to think this shit through?
I got you, baby. You know what I'm doing. No sleep. Okay. No sleep.
All right. That's good. Then, like I said, that's about gravel.
Quarter down.
Now you're screwing me up. Yeah. And, of course, Sergio Castillo. Castillo. Because when you think of oil, Castillo.
Well, I
like that stupid.
Now I feel better about gravel because that one's worse.
It was horrible. I can't remember who I said it, but I did.
So is Sergio your key?
Nope. I like the way they were. I said there's a combination key of good coverage, no penalties.
Yeah.
And we got a return game. Something we didn't have last year. And something that's doing a great job to get field position. So I'm very happy with what they're doing.
Trey Vavel had a fumble last week, but other than that, he has been running very, very violently. I really, really like that. But can I mention do I got the right one? Yeah, I got the highlight here. Chris, to me, this was maybe the biggest play in Winnipeg's win against the Edmonton Elks, and it came on special teams. Or pardon me, it came on defense from a special teamer, and that's the punch. Absolute kidney shot from Kramdi. This young man has gone from being a mid-round draft pick in the CFL draft like 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago now, to one of the most opportunistic, ball-hungry players the CFL has. University of Montreal, and now just making things happen. Look at that punch. Violent, right at it, to create a turnover in what was a tight game at this point.
Yeah, I like it, man. I like it. He's and that's why I tell you, it's so hard. He's trying to hold on to the ball, but when you get a guy come from the backside punching like that,
look at this.
Yeah.
Yes, love that.
That's a thing of beauty. It's a thing of beauty.
I could watch it over and over again. Chris, let's quickly go around the CFL. As there's the Saskatchewan Roughriders 4-0, as you saw in the standings there, leading the West and leading the CFL, as Montreal had their first loss of the season without their starting quarterback last week. So Winnipeg can move to 4-0 and move into a tie with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, who they play 3 times this year, by the way. Yeah. Or first in the West and in the CFL. The Bombers are 3.5-point favorites as it stands right now, about 48 hours before kickoff, roughly, in Calgary. You like Winnipeg to cover? I think that's a great line, making it a 0.5 point up on a field goal.
Yeah, I'm not a gambler, so I don't ever look at any stuff like this. I just go with my gut, who I think is going to win. I think it's going to be a very tight game. I think it's going to come down to 2 of the best kickers in the league, in Sergio and Rene Paredes.
So you like Winnipeg straight up? I like it.
I like Winnipeg straight up. I do.
Yeah. The Hamilton Tiger Cats are, little bit up, little bit down. Some books have them as a 1-point favorite. Others have the Argos as a 1.5 favorite. So for those out there, it depends where you're looking. But for me, the Argos, I don't think they're going to be able to do anything, Chris, until they get Chad Kelly back. Nick Arbuckle is not playing anywhere near the level he was in that Grey Cup win against Winnipeg.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that, and the way that Hamilton came on the last week, Bo Levi's throwing the ball extremely well. He's limiting the interceptions. They got a good team, and their defense is really coming on. And I think, you know what? Offense wins games, defense wins championships. So, I mean, I think that's going to be really a good game to watch as well.
On Saturday, the BC Lions are in Montreal, where the Alouettes are favored by 4.5 points. I understand BC has never historically played well across the country in Montreal. I don't know if it's like the red light district flu or the long flight or the thought of the long flight home after the game, whatever it may be. 4.5 is a big number. I see 3.5 there, on some of the books. But for me, look, BC is coming off a couple tough losses against Winnipeg, where, I mean, like, Winnipeg could easily be first place in the CFL by tomorrow. So I think BC is probably a little bit better than their record shows. And McLeod Bethel-Thompson, I mean, he was kind of meddling in their loss last week, their first of the season. It all came down to opportunistic plays, by Montreal's opponent last week. So I honestly think BC could pull the upset off.
Well, I'd like to know if Nathan O'Rourke's going to play.
Oh, he's in.
I mean, is he in? Well, that makes a big difference for me because I think he brings that element, the X factor to your offense. He makes good decisions. Again, McLeod Bethel-Thompson did not have his best game. I know they're blowing smoke up the chimney pipe of Davis Alexander, and he's doing good. I mean, it's well-deserved right now, the way his kid's throwing. But look at Drew Brown. He threw for 400 yards for Ottawa. He's, once he gets back, it's early in the league right now, or in the season.
Yeah.
A lot of things are going to take, God forbid we get hit with a bad injury that really affects us too. So that's what happens. You got to stay healthy, stay happy, stay hydrated.
Yeah. I like BC in that game. You mentioned Drew Brown. He is back after missing the last 3 weeks for the Ottawa Redblacks with an oblique injury. And suddenly this line has moved like crazy. Ottawa, 2.5 point favorites now in Edmonton. I would be all over that number before it moves anymore. But let's see if we can get the full line history here. The line has moved. Has it? Maybe it hasn't moved yet. Gosh, how about that? Hasn't moved yet. So jump on it while you can at 2 points or 2.5. I think Ottawa, with their number one quarterback back and being able to eke out a win 2 weeks ago in Calgary against a good Stampeders team, I like the Red Blacks. I think they're a team that plays good three-phase football.
Yeah, I agree. But again, like I said, I'm not worried about those games, even though I like to watch them. I'll watch all the games, I do. But it's going to be very tough this weekend because the weather's so god dang nice. And it's hot. And, I got lots of people and lots of family at the lake. It's going to be a boat time and a couple Coley times. So I'll hope to watch it. But if I don't, I'll watch it the next day. I'll tape some stuff.
Well, I know you're dying to get back out to the lake. Huge ups to you. You get a game ball. You put up with my BS earlier today. You also came back into Winnipeg just to do this show. You're playing hurt with the screwed up tooth.
Yeah.
You're making it happen, 6'3". I like it. Yeah. I love to see the effort.
Yeah, okay. Let's not...
you don't like that, eh? Still can't take a compliment. Same old Chris Walby.
Too much sugar, man.
Yeah. Hey, enjoy the game tomorrow. Break us down your weekend.
I just told you. Boating, beers.
Boating and beers. In that order. Did I lose your mic?
I didn't want to hear the last B.
Oh. Boating beers,
and no bombing.
Yeah. Bubble gum. Yeah. Chew on that. Hey.
I got to go.
Have a great weekend, buddy. We'll see you all on Game Day After Dark in the postgame show.
See you.